Hello, I'm Kartik Chawda, Software Manager of Computer Society of India, KJSIEIT Institute of Engineering and Information Technology Chapter, back with second part of Android tutorial. In this part, we will see how to make Android calculator. So let's start with the tutorial. Let's see rough UI of our calculator. This is how our calculator will look. For ticking numbers, we'll create buttons and we will assign grayish color to number buttons and green color to operator buttons. To display results, we'll use text view whose background color will also be gray. For creating this kind of UI, we will surely use nested linear layout which will help in alignment of all the buttons and text view. Let's move to UI designing part. I will quickly create a new project. For giving background colors to buttons and text view, we'll declare static colors in color.xml file. Here I created static object of text view background color, number button background color, operator button background color and text color, and assigned value as a color code to this object. While creating UI, we won't be always assigning color code to each and every attributes of a tag. Rather than that, we'll just refer these color objects. We'll see how to refer these objects in some time. Now moving back to layout XML file. Firstly, I will change this constraint layout tag to linear layout tag and giving the orientation to vertical. For displaying result or number, we'll create a text view giving width to match parent, height to 100 dp, setting text size to 25 dp, text color to black, that is hashtag 6 times 0, background. Here we'll refer static color object in this way @color slash text view background color. Now giving side margin to 10 dp, setting padding to 10 dp, text will be kept empty and gravity will be set to center. Here text view is created. Now we'll create a nested linear layout tag and align buttons in horizontal panel and give layout width is 4, which means we create 4 parts of the screen equally and distribute one part of the screen to all the buttons respectively. Here nested layout is created. Now create a button whose width is wrap content, height match parent, giving layout width to 1, which means I am assigning one part of the screen to this button, text to 7, this is the number, then giving ID, setting style to bold, text color to @color slash text color, background to number background color, and text size to 20 dp. Here button 1 is successfully created. Now we'll create more three button. For this, we'll simply copy paste this button tag and paste three times, and then change the text and IDs of the button and also background color wherever necessary. Here four buttons are aligned in horizontal way. Similarly, we'll create another three nested layout. So let's quickly copy paste this code and make necessary changes. Here UI is perfectly created. Now before moving to coding stuff, let's run this app and check whether our UI is looking perfect or not. Yes, so UI is designed properly. Now we'll move to coding stuff. Let's let's create object of buttons and text view. To integer variable to store inputs and then booleans as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and setting it to false. These booleans will help us to identify which operator button is pressed. Here all necessary variables are created. Now let's initialize these variables by find view by id. I have taught you how to initialize this variable. So let's quickly do initialization of the objects. Now for setting onClick listener, we use set onClick listener method and pass callback object of view.onClick listener. But here we'll follow different procedure. Instead of every time creating new view.onClick listener callback, we just create a single onClick listener object and pass this object as a parameter to onClick listener method. Let's do this. Here we'll first declare final view.onClickListener onClickListener equal to new view.onClickListener. Here onClickListener object is created. Now let's pass this object as a parameter to set onClickListener method. Now there is a small problem. Let's see what is the problem. In this syntax, we pass new view.onClickListener callback object as a parameter. Here let's assume 7 number button is pressed. Since we have created new view.onClickListener object for each and every button, the Android easily identifies which button is pressed. As for every button, different object is initialized. But in this case, it becomes difficult for us to identify which button is pressed. So to solve this problem, there is view.getID method. View.getID method returns the ID of the component on which action is performed. Once we retrieve the ID of the button, then we will compare with each and every button ID and do task as per the case. To do this, we'll use switch case where we pass ID as a parameter and all button ID will be the case. Let's quickly do this thing. In this way, we can identify which button is pressed. Now let's implement the logic. When number button is pressed, we have to display that number onto the text view. For this, when 0 button is pressed, we have to set textAnswer.setText, textAnswer.getText plus 0. I know you are a bit confused. Let's clear out this thing. Let's take keyboard example, where when we press A key, A is written on the screen. Now when we press B, what system do is they take the characters which are already written on the screen and append B letter to that character. So here system will first retrieve A character and then append B character to A, making it as AB and then displaying it to the screen. The same logic is applied here. When user press one button and we set the text of text view to 1, and when 2 button is pressed, we first retrieve the text of the text view and append 2 to that text, and again we set the text 1 to text view. I hope you got to know the logic. Now let's quickly write logic to each and every number buttons. Here logic to each number button is written. Now let's write logic for operator buttons, which are add, subtract, multiply and divide. Here logic is very simple. First we receive text from text view and then check whether it is empty or not. If it is empty, then we do nothing. And if it is not empty, then we store the value retrieved from the text view to input one variable. And addition boolean is set to true and clearing the text view by setting text to null. Addition true means add button is clicked. Similarly, we will do this thing to each and every operator button. Now let's write logic for AC button, that is clear button. When this button is pressed, we just simply set text view to empty string and setting both integer variables input1 and input2 to 0. Now for equal button, this button is pressed to get the result of the operation. So let's write the logic for this button. Here logic is very simple. First we check if any operator button, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, is previously pressed or not. When add button is pressed, add addition boolean is set to true. Then we check whether any of these booleans are true or false. If all are false, then we do nothing. If any one of them is true, then we receive the text from TextView and check whether the text is empty or not. If text is empty, then we tell user that hello, please first enter a number and then press equal button. If it is not empty, then we retrieve text from TextView and store the number to a variable. And then we check which button is pressed. For example, if addition button is pressed, addition boolean is set to true. Now we check whether addition boolean is true or false. If it is true, then we add input1 and input2 and display result on text view. Same thing is done for all the buttons. Here we have completed coding part. Now let's run this app and check for the output. Yes, the app works perfectly. but app name and logo is default. So let's change app name and logo. For logo, I will copy this logo and then right click on drawable and paste this logo. Now quickly go to Android manifest file and change value of Android colon icon and Android colon round icon to @drawable slash logo. Here I have changed app name and logo. Now let's quickly run this app and check for the output. Here logo and app name is now perfect and app is also working perfectly. Thus we have successfully developed calculator app. This was the last part of this Android tutorial. Hope you found this video useful and do drop a like, subscribe to CSI KJSIT channel, do follow our Instagram page, like our Facebook page and connect with us to LinkedIn. All social links are provided in the description. We will be back soon with another series. Till then, goodbye.